Hello there, and welcome to the Sleep with Science channel. Tonight, our journey turns inward, into the vast and mysterious universe that exists inside your own mind. In this quiet exploration, we'll uncover some of the most fascinating and surprising discoveries psychology has revealed over the years. Secrets about memory, perception, and the subtle patterns that quietly guide the way we think. Some of the ideas we encounter will feel gentle and familiar, like the way a certain scent can suddenly carry you back to a moment from decades ago. Others may feel astonishing, such as the discovery that your brain can sometimes make decisions before you even become aware of them. Yet each of these insights opens a small window into the hidden workings of the human mind, a place stranger, deeper, and far more beautiful than we often imagine. Tonight we'll slowly wander through a collection of curious psychological insights and remarkable mental phenomena, small glimpses into a world where time can stretch or compress, where emotions can subtly change what we see, and where thoughts can ripple quietly between people without a single word spoken. You may find yourself drifting gently toward sleep as you listen, or perhaps simply allowing these ideas to flow softly in the background of your mind. If you enjoy these nighttime explorations and would like to join us for more journeys into science and the mind, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like, you can share your thoughts or impressions in the comments below. But for now, there is nothing you need to do except relax. Let your breathing slow down. Allow your thoughts to soften, and let the quiet wonder of your own mind gently wash over you. Let's begin. People often become more honest late at night. As the day slowly fades and evening settles in, many of the mental filters we use during the day begin to loosen. Social masks soften, and the mind becomes less guarded. Late at night, when fatigue lowers our inhibition and reduces self-monitoring, people may speak more openly and reveal thoughts they might carefully hold back during the busy daylight hours. This doesn't mean every late-night conversation is completely unfiltered truth, but reduced cognitive control can make honesty flow more easily. Psychologists also suggest that the atmosphere of nighttime encourages openness. The world is quieter, distractions are fewer, the light is dimmer, and there is often a sense that everything around us has slowed to rest. In these calmer hours, conversations can gradually drift into more personal territory, sometimes strengthening emotional connections between people. Of course, this experience is not universal, but many people recognize the feeling. Words seem to flow more freely under the quiet cover of night, as if the mind has relaxed into its natural rhythm. Thoughts that remained guarded during the day may finally step out into the open. Multitasking can make your memory less reliable. Although juggling several tasks at once may feel productive, it often weakens the way information is stored in memory. The brain's attention system functions best when it is focused. When attention is divided between multiple activities, different pieces of information begin competing for the same limited mental resources. As a result, memories formed during multitasking are often less detailed, or sometimes missing altogether. For instance, if you try to check messages on your phone while listening to a friend speak,
You may later realize that parts of the conversation have simply vanished from memory. Studies suggest that people who multitask frequently may also find it harder to filter out irrelevant information. Over time, this can make sustained concentration more difficult. The appeal of multitasking lies in its illusion of efficiency.
But in reality, the mind records life far more richly when it is allowed to focus on one experience at a time. In a world that constantly encourages rapid switching between tasks, choosing to do one thing slowly can almost feel like a luxury. Yet, it is a luxury that your memory will quietly thank you for. A simple touch from another person can actually reduce pain. The warmth of someone placing a hand on your shoulder or gently holding your hand does more than provide emotional comfort. It can also change the way your brain interprets physical pain. Touch activates sensory pathways that compete with pain signals traveling to the brain, effectively reducing the intensity of the discomfort. At the same time, physical contact triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone closely linked to bonding, trust, and reduced stress. In one fascinating study, couples who held hands while one partner experienced a painful stimulus reported feeling significantly less discomfort. Even more interesting, their brain waves began to synchronize with each other. This suggests that touch does not only provide emotional reassurance, it may actually create a shared physiological state between two people. In moments of distress, a gentle touch can act both as a shield and an anchor, reminding the body that it is not facing the experience alone. Sometimes the simplest gestures carry the deepest healing power. Sense can influence decisions without us even realizing it. Unlike many other senses, smell often bypasses conscious thought. Odors travel directly to brain regions closely connected with emotion and memory. Because of this direct pathway, scent can subtly influence our mood and behavior before we are even aware of it. In experiments, pleasant background scents in stores have been shown to increase the likelihood that people will make purchases. Meanwhile, the smell of cleaning products can unconsciously encourage people to tidy up their surroundings. These subtle influences occur because scents can activate certain associations in the mind. Lavender may evoke calm and relaxation. Citrus aromas may suggest freshness and energy. Although we like to think of our decisions as purely rational, the reality is that invisible sensory cues often tilt the balance. Becoming aware of these influences can actually be empowering. It allows us to recognize when our choices might be gently guided by the quiet language of scent. Interestingly, the mind can sometimes make you feel more rested simply because you believe you slept well. This curious phenomenon is sometimes referred to as placebo sleep. In certain psychological studies, participants were told that their sleep quality had been measured and found to be above average. In reality, the information they received was not accurate. Yet despite this, those who believed they had slept well often performed better on cognitive tests the following day. Their focus improved, their reaction times sharpened, and their mood was noticeably brighter. The brain, it seems, sometimes uses belief as a shortcut. If it assumes that the body has rested properly, it may adjust energy levels, motivation, and attention accordingly. Of course, genuine sleep remains essential for long-term health. No belief can fully replace the restorative power of real rest. But this phenomenon offers a fascinating glimpse into the mind's influence over the body. It suggests that part of what we experience as fatigue or alertness may come not only from biological sleep itself, but also from the story our mind tells about that sleep. Many people have experienced the strange sensation of being watched. Perhaps you were sitting quietly somewhere when a subtle feeling made you turn your head, only to discover that someone really was looking at you. Science has not fully explained this experience yet, but researchers believe it may come from subtle environmental cues that our brains process unconsciously. A slight shift in shadows, a small movement in peripheral vision, or even faint sounds may trigger the sensation without reaching conscious awareness. The human brain is finely tuned to detect social attention. Throughout evolutionary history, noticing when eyes were directed toward us could mean the difference between safety and danger. Evolutionary psychologists suggest this sensitivity helped our ancestors avoid predators and navigate complex social interactions. Whether the experience comes from unconscious perception or deeper instinct, the sensation can be powerful enough to prompt action before conscious thought has time to catch up. It may feel mysterious, but it could simply be the quiet whisper of ancient survival systems still working within us. Your body language can reveal feelings you have not yet consciously recognized. Posture, gestures, and subtle facial expressions often communicate emotions before we even become aware of them ourselves. For example, crossed arms may signal defensiveness. A slight shift in tone might suggest unease. A quick glance away may reveal discomfort or uncertainty. Psychologists note that these cues are sometimes easier for others to see than for us to recognize internally. In this way, body language can act like an external mirror, reflecting aspects of our emotional state that we have not yet acknowledged. Becoming more aware of your own body language can offer surprising insights. It might reveal hidden tension, quiet excitement, subtle attraction, or lingering stress. At the same time, learning to read the nonverbal signals of others can deepen empathy and understanding. This silent language runs alongside spoken words, often carrying meanings that are more honest than speech itself. Sometimes, simply imagining how your body holds itself in a given moment can feel like overhearing the quiet thoughts of your own mind. Smell has a remarkable ability to unlock memories that have been hidden away for years, even decades. The human sense of smell is deeply connected to the brain's memory systems. Unlike sight or sound, which travel through several layers of processing before reaching emotional centers, scent takes a more direct path. It connects almost immediately with the limbic system, the region of the brain involved in emotion and long-term memory. Because of this unique wiring, even a faint scent can suddenly open the door to a vivid memory. The smell of a particular perfume, rain falling on warm pavement, a familiar meal cooking in the kitchen. These scents can feel like tiny time machines, carrying the mind backward through years in an instant. Memories triggered by smell are often especially vivid and emotional. Even if the moment being recalled happened long ago, the feelings connected to it can return with surprising clarity. Psychologists sometimes refer to this phenomenon as the Proust effect, named after the writer Marcel Proust, who famously described how the taste of a small cake suddenly transported him back to childhood memories. Experiences like this remind us that our minds are not simple filing cabinets storing neat records of the past. They are living landscapes. And sometimes, a simple scent becomes the key that unlocks a long-forgotten door. Lucid dreaming offers another fascinating window into the flexibility of the human mind. In a lucid dream, the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming while the dream is still happening. With this awareness, some people gain the ability to influence the dream itself. Those who experience lucid dreaming sometimes describe flying over landscapes, walking through impossible worlds, or even changing the events of the dream as they unfold. Psychologists believe lucid dreams occur when certain parts of the brain associated with self-awareness become active during sleep. For many people, lucid dreaming happens naturally from time to time. Others practice techniques designed to increase the likelihood of experiencing it, such as keeping dream journals or performing reality checks throughout the day. Interestingly, research suggests that practicing certain skills in lucid dreams may even improve performance in waking life. But beyond any practical use, lucid dreaming offers something deeper. It reveals just how powerful the mind's creative abilities truly are. Within sleep, the brain can build entire worlds filled with detail, emotion, and story. And within those worlds, the dreamer may become both the traveler and the architect. Another curious quirk of the mind is our tendency to remember unfinished tasks more clearly than completed ones. Imagine working on a project, stopping before it is finished, and then finding that the task continues to linger in your thoughts. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. The brain tends to hold on to incomplete activities more strongly than completed ones. This mental open loop likely evolved as a way of helping us remember what still needs to be done. But in modern life, it can sometimes keep our minds active long after the day has ended. Unfinished conversations, unresolved problems, or incomplete work may replay quietly in our thoughts. Researchers suggest this occurs because unfinished tasks create a mild tension in the mind. Once the task is completed, that tension is released. This may explain why writing a simple to-do list can feel surprisingly calming. Even if the tasks themselves are not yet completed, recording them signals to the brain that they have been acknowledged. And that small signal can be enough to ease the mind. Gratitude can quietly change the chemistry of your body. Feeling thankful is often thought of as a simple social gesture or polite habit. Yet psychological research suggests it can influence the body in deeper ways. Studies have shown that people who regularly focus on gratitude tend to have lower levels of cortisol, the hormone associated with stress. When cortisol remains elevated for long periods, it can strain the body, affecting sleep, immunity, and even heart health. But practices that encourage gratitude appear to help bring those levels down. Simple habits, such as writing a short gratitude journal or reflecting on positive moments before sleep, can also increase activity in brain regions linked to empathy and emotional warmth. This effect is not merely emotional. It reflects real physiological changes within the nervous system. Researchers have found that gratitude can strengthen the immune response, improve sleep quality, and even support cardiovascular health. One reason may be that gratitude shifts attention away from what is missing in our lives and toward what is already present. This shift can create a sense of safety and connection, calming the mind. And when the mind relaxes, the body often follows. A single grateful thought, held quietly for a moment, can ripple through the nervous system like a gentle wave of calm. The human mind can also be influenced by messages it barely notices. In psychology, this phenomenon is known as subliminal priming. It occurs when stimuli, such as words or images, are presented so quickly or subtly that they do not reach conscious awareness, yet still influence our thoughts or behavior. In one experiment, participants were briefly shown positive or negative words for only a fraction of a second before viewing a neutral image. Even though the words appeared too quickly to be consciously recognized, they changed how the participants rated the emotional tone of the image. Those who had been exposed to positive words perceived the image as more pleasant. Those who had seen negative words judged it more negatively. This suggests that the brain continues processing information even when the conscious mind is unaware of it. Advertisers, artists, and researchers have long been fascinated by this phenomenon. However, its effects in everyday life are usually subtle rather than dramatic. Still, the research highlights an important truth. Our conscious awareness is not the only gatekeeper of perception. Beneath the surface of awareness, the brain is constantly scanning, filtering, and interpreting signals. Most of these impressions never reach words or deliberate thought, yet they can quietly shape our impressions, guide our decisions, and leave us with feelings we cannot easily explain. They are like whispers from the edge of perception. Music has an extraordinary power to awaken memories long hidden in the mind. A single song from years ago can instantly transport you back to a specific place, perhaps a school hallway, a summer afternoon, or a conversation with someone you once knew well. Music forms especially strong connections with memory because it activates several areas of the brain simultaneously. Auditory regions process the sound, motor areas respond to rhythm, and the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain, attaches feeling to the experience. Together, melody, rhythm, and lyrics create a rich context around the moment in which the music was first heard. When that same music returns years later, the emotions linked to it can reappear just as vividly. For people living with Alzheimer's disease or other forms of memory loss, familiar music can sometimes unlock brief moments of clarity. They may struggle to recall names or events, yet still remember the lyrics to songs they loved long ago. Psychologists believe music acts as a powerful retrieval cue. It can bypass some of the barriers created by time or memory loss. In doing so, it reminds us that memories are rarely gone completely. Sometimes they simply wait quietly within us until the right sound opens the door again. Optimism can also influence how the body heals. Hope and positive expectation are often thought of as emotional comforts, but research suggests they may also have measurable biological effects. Studies have found that people who tend to view the future with optimism often recover faster from surgery, respond better to medical treatments, and show lower rates of certain chronic illnesses. Optimism appears to reduce harmful stress responses in the body. It can also encourage healthier behaviors, such as exercise, balanced nutrition, and adherence to medical advice. These patterns together can strengthen the immune system and support recovery. Of course, optimism does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending problems do not exist. Rather, it reflects a belief that challenges can be overcome and that the future holds possibility. Psychologists suggest that optimistic thinking may help people persist through rehabilitation, follow treatment plans more consistently, and maintain emotional resilience during recovery. While the body carries out its quiet work of repair, the mind's outlook can subtly tilt the odds. In this way, hope becomes a kind of invisible medicine, one that moves quietly through every heartbeat and breath. Human beings also have a curious tendency to remember gossip more easily than neutral information. Throughout most of human history, people lived in small groups where understanding the behavior of others was essential for survival. Knowing who could be trusted, who might pose a threat, and who contributed to the group could mean the difference between safety and danger. Because of this, our brains evolved to pay special attention to social information. Experiments have shown that participants often remember stories about others' behavior, especially negative or surprising actions, more clearly than neutral facts. Information about someone acting dishonestly or breaking social rules tends to stick in memory longer than descriptions of appearance or unrelated details. This happens because gossip activates networks in the brain associated with social reasoning. These networks help us track relationships, reputations, and alliances. While gossip can certainly be harmful when used carelessly or maliciously, it may also have served an evolutionary purpose. It helped groups maintain social norms and avoid risky individuals. Even today, this tendency remains visible in the way rumors and dramatic stories spread far faster than ordinary news. From ancient campfires to modern social media, the brain's deep interest in the behavior of others continues to shape what we remember. Another strange experience many people report is déjà vu, the eerie sensation that a moment has already happened before. You may suddenly feel that you have lived through the exact same situation, even though logic tells you it is new. Scientists still do not fully understand why déjà vu occurs, but one leading theory suggests it may be caused by a small misfire in the brain's recognition systems. Normally, the brain separates the processes of perception and familiarity. One part of the brain records the present moment, while another compares it to stored memories. But occasionally, these systems may briefly overlap. When that happens, the brain mistakenly signals that a completely new experience feels familiar. Another possibility is that the present moment resembles a pattern from an older memory, perhaps a similar room, sound, or arrangement of objects, even though we cannot consciously recall the original memory. Neuroimaging studies suggest the temporal lobe, which plays a central role in memory processing, may be involved in this phenomenon. For most people, déjà vu is brief and harmless. Yet it offers a fascinating glimpse into how the brain constantly weaves together past and present. For a moment, reality feels doubled. The present moment is layered with the faint ghost of something that may never have happened before, and it reminds us that perception is not a perfect recording of the world. It is an interpretation. People also tend to speak faster when they feel nervous. When anxiety rises, the body activates the fight or flight response, a survival mechanism designed to prepare us for action. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes quicker, and the brain begins processing information more rapidly. This heightened state can push thoughts forward at a faster pace than usual. As a result, speech may speed up as the mouth tries to keep up with racing thoughts. Nervous speakers might skip natural pauses, rush through sentences, or occasionally stumble over words. Sometimes the change is subtle, a slight quickening of rhythm. Other times, the words may blur together. Interestingly, in social settings, this rapid speech can sometimes make others feel anxious as well. Emotional states often ripple through groups without anyone realizing it. The good news is that this pattern can work in reverse. Deliberately slowing down speech can calm the body. And when the body relaxes, the mind often follows. In this way, speech becomes more than a reflection of emotion. It becomes a tool that can gently guide it. Despite centuries of scientific progress, much of the human brain still remains a mystery. Neuroscience has made enormous advances. We can map brain structures, measure electrical activity, and observe patterns of neural communication. Yet some of the most profound questions remain unanswered. How exactly does consciousness arise? Why do certain memories feel vivid while others fade? How do billions of neurons combine to create a single sense of self? Many regions of the brain still have functions that are only partly understood, and the complex networks connecting those regions are more intricate than any machine humans have ever built. Every new study reveals important discoveries, but it also opens new questions. In many ways, our understanding of the brain is like exploring the surface of a vast ocean. We have learned a great deal about the waves above, but the depths below remain largely unknown. Inside our skulls exists a living universe, one we are only beginning to understand. Research suggests that many of the thoughts we experience each day are not entirely new. In fact, a large portion of daily thinking consists of repeated patterns from previous days, familiar concerns, recurring plans, the same reflections appearing again in slightly different forms. This repetition helps create stability in our sense of identity and routine. However, it can also limit creativity. When the brain relies heavily on existing thought patterns, it tends to follow the same mental pathways again and again. The brain favors efficiency. Reusing established neural circuits requires less energy than building entirely new ones. But new experiences can disrupt this pattern. Traveling to unfamiliar places, learning new skills, or even taking a different route to work can stimulate fresh patterns of thought. Novelty wakes the mind from its automatic routines. Most of the time, our thoughts travel along familiar trails. But occasionally, we step off those paths and discover entirely new landscapes within our own minds. Yawning is another surprisingly mysterious behavior. Most people know how contagious a yawn can be. When one person yawns, others nearby often feel the urge to yawn as well, sometimes within seconds. This contagious effect is not limited to humans. Scientists have observed it in chimpanzees, dogs, and even certain species of birds. Psychologists believe this phenomenon may be connected to empathy and social bonding. Humans naturally mirror the behavior of those around them. When someone yawns, our brains may unconsciously imitate the action as a subtle form of social synchronization. Interestingly, the likelihood of catching a yawn increases when the yawning person is someone we know well. We are more likely to yawn after seeing a friend or family member yawn than after seeing a stranger do the same. Yawning itself also serves biological functions. It may help regulate brain temperature and maintain alertness, but its contagious nature appears to serve a social purpose. In a quiet way, it synchronizes the rhythms of a group. A shared yawn becomes a small, silent reminder that we are connected. Hypnosis provides another fascinating example of the mind's flexibility. Under hypnosis, some individuals can experience significantly reduced pain, or even none at all, during situations that would normally cause discomfort. Brain scans show that hypnosis can alter activity in areas of the brain responsible for interpreting pain signals. Interestingly, hypnosis does not necessarily block the physical sensation itself. Instead, it changes how the brain perceives and responds to that sensation. Because of this effect, hypnosis has been used in certain medical settings for pain management. It has been applied during dental procedures, childbirth, and even some surgical operations. However, hypnosis does not work equally well for everyone. Psychologists describe hypnosis as a state of focused attention combined with increased responsiveness to suggestion. In this state, the mind becomes more flexible in how it interprets experiences. The process may appear mysterious, but it is not magic. It is simply another example of the brain's remarkable ability to shape perception. Pain, after all, is not purely physical. It is part of a complex conversation between the body, the brain, and awareness itself. And sometimes awareness can gently change the tone of that conversation. Writing about your feelings can have a real impact on your health.
Putting emotions into words, whether in a journal, a private note, or even a letter never sent, can produce measurable effects on well-being. Psychological studies have shown that expressive writing can help lower blood pressure, strengthen immune function, and improve overall mood. Researchers believe this happens because writing helps organize emotional experiences. Feelings that once seemed vague or overwhelming become structured thoughts that the brain can process more clearly. When emotions remain unexpressed, they often continue circulating through the mind, consuming mental energy. But translating those feelings into language gives them shape and boundaries. This process reduces internal tension and frees cognitive resources for other tasks. Writing in this way does not require perfect grammar or elegant style. Its power lies in honesty. When we put inner experiences into words, we transform something abstract into something tangible. The page becomes a quiet container for thoughts that might otherwise feel overwhelming. Over time, this simple practice can help untangle complex emotions, making them easier to understand and easier to carry. The human mind tends to remember emotions more easily than facts. Events connected to strong feelings, joy, fear, excitement, or grief, often remain in memory far longer than neutral details. This happens because emotional experiences activate the amygdala, a region of the brain closely tied to emotional processing. When the amygdala is activated, it signals the brain that the experience is important. As a result, the memory receives stronger encoding. This system evolved to help humans prioritize events that might affect survival. Moments connected with strong feelings were more likely to contain valuable lessons. However, this emotional tagging also has a side effect. We often remember how we felt about an event more clearly than what actually happened.
For example, in eyewitness testimony, the emotional intensity of a situation can shape recollections, sometimes distorting factual details. On the positive side, emotional memories help reinforce relationships, personal values, and life lessons. They form part of the emotional fabric of our lives. When we look back on the past, we often walk through a landscape of feelings, with facts scattered along the path like stones. Something as simple as chewing gum may also influence concentration. At first glance, chewing gum seems like a small and almost mindless habit, but some studies suggest it can modestly improve focus and alertness. The rhythmic motion of chewing appears to increase blood flow to certain areas of the brain. This increased circulation may help maintain attention during tasks that require sustained concentration. Chewing also stimulates regions of the brain associated with memory and alertness. Some experiments have found that participants chewing gum perform slightly better on tasks requiring continuous focus. Peppermint-flavored gum, in particular, has been associated with small boosts in mental energy. The effect is not dramatic. Yet for students, drivers, and workers engaged in long periods of concentration, even a subtle lift in alertness can make a difference. Psychologists also suggest that chewing gum may reduce stress by lowering cortisol levels. In moments when attention begins to drift, this simple action can act as a gentle anchor, bringing the mind back to the task at hand. Our memory is also influenced by where information appears within a sequence. Psychologists refer to this as the primacy and recency effect. When people are presented with a list of items, they tend to remember the first items and the last items more clearly than those in the middle. The first items benefit from additional attention and rehearsal. They have more time to be encoded into long-term memory. The last items remain fresh in short-term memory.
This pattern appears in many areas of everyday life. We often remember the opening moments of a conversation or lecture more clearly than the middle. Similarly, the final moments of an experience often linger in memory. Understanding this pattern can be useful when studying. Placing important information at the beginning or end of a study session can improve recall. In many ways, the mind organizes experiences like stories. The opening and closing scenes shine brightest. The middle still matters, but the first impression and the final moment often leave the strongest mark. The brain can sometimes miss surprisingly obvious changes in the environment. This phenomenon is called change blindness. Even large alterations in a visual scene can go unnoticed if they occur during a brief distraction or interruption. In certain experiments, participants looked directly at an object, glanced away for a moment, and then failed to notice that the object had changed entirely when they looked back. This happens because attention is selective. The brain cannot process every detail in a complex environment. Instead, it focuses on a few key elements while filling in the rest using assumptions based on prior knowledge. In everyday life, change blindness can explain why we sometimes fail to notice small rearrangements in a room or a friend's new haircut. It reminds us that perception is not a perfect recording device. Rather, it is a carefully constructed interpretation of reality. Our minds piece together fragments of information and smooth them into a continuous picture. Most of the time, this system works beautifully, but occasionally it leaves small gaps that we never realize were there. Smiling can subtly influence how you feel. Even when happiness is not present at first, the simple act of forming a smile can shift emotional state. Psychologists call this the facial feedback hypothesis. According to this idea, facial expressions do not merely reflect emotions, they can also influence them. When you smile,
The muscles in your face send signals back to the brain. These signals can stimulate the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. Both chemicals are associated with improved mood and emotional stability. The effect is usually small. A smile will not erase stress or sadness entirely, but it can create a gentle upward shift in emotional state. Interestingly, the opposite pattern can also occur. Frowning or tightening facial muscles may reinforce feelings of frustration or tension. Because of this connection, some meditation practices encourage a relaxed, subtle smile. Just a slight upward curve of the lips. A quiet reminder that the mind and body are deeply connected. And sometimes the body speaks first. Your subconscious mind can quietly influence who you find attractive. Attraction often feels like a deliberate choice, something we evaluate consciously. Yet much of what draws us towards certain people forms beneath the surface of awareness. Small details play a role. The symmetry of a face, the tone of someone's voice, even a person's natural scent. These subtle cues can activate responses rooted in both biology and personal experience. Evolutionary psychologists suggest that some preferences may have developed because they signal health, strength, or compatibility. Other preferences may arise from cultural influences or memories from our own past. The subconscious mind also creates associations. A particular laugh might remind you of someone who once made you feel safe. A hairstyle may echo someone important from earlier in your life. These impressions can form quickly, sometimes before the conscious mind has even begun analyzing them. The result can feel like instant chemistry. Attraction, in this sense, is both ancient and deeply personal. It is a quiet dance between instincts shaped over thousands of years and the unique experiences that have shaped your own life. There are moments when the mind enters a state where time seems to behave differently. Psychologists call this experience flow. Flow occurs when a person becomes deeply absorbed in an activity that perfectly balances challenge and skill. In this state, concentration becomes effortless. The outside world fades into the background, and time itself can feel strangely elastic. Artists sometimes describe painting for hours without noticing the passage of time. Athletes speak of being completely immersed in movement. Scientists and writers often experience the same phenomenon while working through complex ideas. When the brain enters flow, activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region associated with self-criticism and self-awareness, temporarily decreases. This reduction allows attention to merge fully with the task. In flow, action and awareness become almost indistinguishable. What remains is a sense of effortless engagement. Many people encounter this state during creative hobbies, sports, or deep problem-solving. Within the quiet rhythm of flow, minutes can dissolve into moments, and the mind moves as smoothly as a river finding its path toward the sea. Technology is beginning to expand the limits of human perception. Researchers have developed devices that translate unfamiliar types of information into signals the brain can learn to interpret. For example, some experimental devices convert magnetic fields or ultrasonic distance measurements into gentle vibrations on the skin. Over time, users begin to interpret these signals naturally, almost as if they were new senses. One particularly interesting example is a belt that vibrates slightly when the wearer faces north. After prolonged use, many people begin to develop an intuitive sense of direction. Without consciously thinking about it, they feel where north lies.
This process works because of the brain's remarkable neuroplasticity, its ability to adapt to new forms of information. The brain can integrate these signals into everyday awareness. Although these technologies are still experimental, they hint at a fascinating possibility. In the future, humans might be able to perceive ultraviolet light, infrared heat, or even subtle chemical signals in the air. Our sensory world could expand beyond the limits nature originally gave us. Learning something new physically reshapes the brain. Every time we acquire a skill or understand a new concept, the brain's neural networks adjust themselves. This process is known as synaptic plasticity. Existing connections between neurons become stronger, while new pathways may form. These changes allow information to be stored more efficiently and retrieved more easily later. In simple terms, the brain is not a static organ. It is constantly changing. Activities such as learning a language, practicing a musical instrument, or mastering a sport can even increase the size or density of certain brain regions. MRI studies have revealed these structural changes over time. Although this process occurs most rapidly during childhood, it continues throughout the entire lifespan. The brain retains its ability to adapt and grow well into old age. Learning, therefore, is not only a mental experience, it is also a physical transformation. Each new skill leaves a small imprint within the brain's evolving architecture. Emotions can also influence the way we perceive the world visually. Mood does not simply color our thoughts. It can literally change what we notice and how we interpret what we see. Studies suggest that people in a positive emotional state are more likely to notice subtle details and perceive a wider range of visual information. In contrast, individuals experiencing anxiety or stress often narrow their focus. Their attention becomes tuned toward potential threats. This shift can cause neutral or calming details to go unnoticed. The brain adjusts its attention systems depending on emotional state. A joyful mood may make colors seem brighter or landscapes more vivid. Fear or stress may cause environments to appear darker or more threatening. In this sense, perception is never entirely objective. What we see is shaped not only by the outside world, but also by the state of the mind observing it. Changing your mood can sometimes change the world you appear to see. Human behavior in groups can also produce surprising psychological effects. One example is known as the bystander effect. In emergency situations, people are sometimes less likely to help when many others are present. Responsibility becomes diffused across the group. Each individual may assume that someone else will step in. But when a person is the only witness, the sense of responsibility becomes immediate and personal. Without the presence of others, there is no uncertainty about who should act. Psychologists have demonstrated this effect in numerous experiments, from staged accidents to simple scenarios such as dropping objects in public spaces. The more people present, the less likely any single person may feel compelled to intervene. Yet awareness of the bystander effect can counteract it.
When people understand the phenomenon, they are often more likely to take action, regardless of the crowd. Sometimes helping simply begins with one person deciding to move. Stress can spread between people in ways we rarely notice. When a person experiences stress, their body releases certain chemical compounds through sweat. These substances can carry subtle signals that nearby individuals may unconsciously detect. Research has shown that when people smell these stress-related compounds, even without realizing it, areas of the brain linked to empathy and threat detection can become more active. As a result, others nearby may begin to feel slightly more alert, uneasy, or anxious themselves. In this way, stress can spread socially, not only through tone of voice or facial expressions, but also through scent. This ability may have evolved to help groups respond quickly to danger. If one individual sensed a threat, the emotional state could spread rapidly through the group. In modern life, however, it means tension in a room can quietly ripple from person to person. The reassuring part of this discovery is that the opposite effect can occur as well. Calmness can also spread. When someone remains relaxed and steady, their presence can subtly influence the emotional atmosphere around them. In this sense, managing our own emotional state becomes more than personal self-care. It becomes something that quietly affects everyone nearby. Nostalgia can sometimes make the body feel physically warmer. Most people think of nostalgia simply as a pleasant emotional experience, a warm feeling connected to memories of the past. But psychologists have discovered that nostalgic reflection can also influence how we perceive temperature. In experiments, participants who were asked to recall cherished memories reported feeling physically warmer than those who thought about neutral events. Some studies even found that people exposed to cold environments tended to experience stronger nostalgic feelings. Researchers believe this connection may exist because social warmth and physical warmth share overlapping pathways in the brain. Feelings of belonging, comfort, and safety are closely linked to physical sensations of warmth. When we revisit happy memories, a childhood home, an old friendship, a meaningful moment, the body may respond as if we have entered a more comforting environment. During colder seasons, people often report stronger nostalgic thoughts. Perhaps the mind uses memory as a subtle way to counterbalance the physical chill. A familiar photograph, a song, or the smell of a favorite meal can wrap the mind in a quiet sense of warmth, almost like a blanket woven from remembered moments. Fear can also spread from one person to another through simple observation. You do not need to encounter danger directly to feel afraid. Sometimes, watching someone else react with fear is enough to trigger your own emotional response. This happens because the brain contains systems that simulate the emotions of others. Often called mirror systems, these networks allow us to internally recreate what another person may be feeling. In experiments, participants who observed someone showing fear toward a specific object later developed similar fear responses themselves, even though they had never personally experienced harm from the object. This mechanism likely evolved to help humans learn from the experiences of others. If someone nearby reacted strongly to danger, observing that reaction could provide valuable information without requiring direct exposure. In everyday life, This system helps explain why fear can spread rapidly through groups. Just as calmness can be contagious, alarm can move through a crowd within seconds. Emotional awareness, therefore, becomes a powerful influence on the collective mood of those around us. Authority figures can sometimes persuade ordinary people to follow extreme instructions. One of the most famous demonstrations of this phenomenon came from the experiments conducted by psychologist Stanley Milgram in the 1960s. In these studies, participants were instructed by an authority figure to deliver what they believed were increasingly painful electric shocks to another person. Although the shocks were not real, the participants did not know this. Many individuals continued following instructions even when they believed they were causing serious harm. The experiment revealed how powerful social pressure and perceived authority can be.
When an authority figure gives instructions, people often feel that responsibility for the outcome lies with the authority rather than themselves. This tendency to defer responsibility has been observed in many contexts, from military structures to workplace hierarchies. However, the findings also offer an important lesson. Understanding the influence of authority can strengthen our ability to question it. Moral courage sometimes requires stepping out of the shadow of authority and reclaiming personal responsibility for one's choices. Your eyes are fastest at detecting motion at the edges of your vision. The center of your visual field provides the sharpest detail. This is where the eye focuses when reading text or examining objects closely. But the outer edges of your vision, known as peripheral vision, are especially sensitive to movement. This sensitivity developed as an important survival advantage. Long ago, noticing sudden motion in the environment could mean detecting a predator or spotting prey. The outer regions of the retina contain rod cells that specialize in detecting light changes and movement. Because of this design, your brain may notice something moving in the corner of your eye before you consciously look toward it. Peripheral vision acts as an early warning system. It constantly scans the environment for sudden changes. If motion is detected, your attention is quickly directed toward the source. Even today, in modern environments far removed from the wilderness, this ancient system continues to watch quietly from the margins of our sight, like an old sentry still standing guard. Writing by hand can strengthen memory more effectively than typing. When you write something down with a pen, the brain engages in a richer sensory process than when typing on a keyboard. Handwriting requires fine motor control, visual processing, and spatial awareness to work together simultaneously. This complex coordination helps encode information more deeply in the brain. Students who take handwritten notes often remember concepts better, even if they record fewer words overall. This happens because writing by hand forces the mind to summarize ideas in real time. Instead of copying information word for word, the brain must interpret and condense the material. That active engagement strengthens memory. Handwriting also slows the pace of note-taking. This slower rhythm allows more time for reflection and mental processing. Typing, while faster and efficient, can sometimes encourage passive transcription rather than true understanding. In this sense, handwriting becomes a form of mindful learning. Each stroke of the pen leaves not only ink on the page, but also subtle traces within the brain's networks of memory. The human brain can form impressions of faces almost instantly. Research shows that people often make judgments about a person's trustworthiness, competence,
or friendliness within a fraction of a second after seeing their face. Sometimes this happens in less than 1/10 of a second. These rapid evaluations are rooted in ancient survival mechanisms. Early humans needed to quickly determine whether another individual might be friend or foe. Brain regions, such as the amygdala, are capable of processing facial cues extremely quickly, often before conscious thought becomes involved. Interestingly, studies have found that different observers frequently reach similar first impressions about the same face. Yet these impressions are not always accurate. They may be influenced by personal experiences, cultural expectations, or unconscious biases. Despite this, the speed of the process remains remarkable. A single glance can shape an initial perception long before words are spoken. It is a reminder that parts of the mind still operate according to instincts shaped long before modern society existed. Simply seeing images of eyes can influence how honest people behave. In some experiments, researchers placed pictures of eyes above a donation box in public spaces. Even though the images were clearly artificial, people contributed more money when the eyes were present. Psychologists believe this effect occurs because the sensation of being watched activates ancient social instincts. Throughout human history, reputation within a group was extremely important. Being observed meant that actions carried consequences. The brain still responds to visual cues that suggest observation, even if the eyes belong only to a photograph. Interestingly, the images do not need to be realistic. Even stylized drawings of eyes can produce the effect. This subtle reminder of social accountability can encourage generosity, honesty, and cooperation. It shows how deeply rooted our social instincts remain. A simple image can quietly alter behavior without a single word being spoken. People often overestimate how much others notice them. Psychologists refer to this tendency as the spotlight effect. We tend to imagine that others are paying far more attention to our appearance and behavior than they actually are. If we trip while walking, mispronounce a word, or make a small mistake, it can feel as though everyone around us has noticed. In reality, most people are absorbed in their own thoughts and concerns. Because we experience the world from the center of our own perspective, it is easy to assume that others share the same focus. But the truth is that each person is usually preoccupied with their own internal spotlight. Understanding this effect can be surprisingly freeing. Small mistakes lose their weight when we realize that most people barely notice them. Recognizing the spotlight effect can reduce social anxiety and self-consciousness. It allows us to move through the world with a lighter step, less concerned with imagined judgment. The placebo effect can work even when people know they are receiving a placebo. At first, this idea may seem impossible. A placebo is an inactive treatment, something with no direct medical effect. Traditionally, placebo treatments were thought to work only when patients believed they were receiving real medicine. But recent research suggests something more surprising. In certain studies, participants were openly told that the pills they were receiving contained no active medication. Even so, many still experienced improvements in symptoms such as pain, fatigue, or anxiety. Scientists believe this happens because the brain responds not only to the chemical effects of medicine, but also to the ritual of treatment itself. Expectation, attention, and the context of healing can activate the body's own regulatory systems. These systems may release natural pain-relieving chemicals or adjust emotional responses. This phenomenon is known as the open-label placebo effect. It highlights the deep connection between belief, perception, and biology. Even when the mind understands that a treatment is inactive, the body may still respond in beneficial ways. It is another reminder that the relationship between mind and body is far more complex than it first appears. People often remember the emotions of an experience more clearly than the details of what actually happened. Think back to an important moment in your life. You might recall the surge of excitement, the quiet warmth of happiness, or perhaps the heaviness of sadness. Yet the exact sequence of events surrounding that moment may feel blurred or incomplete. This happens because emotional experiences are stored in brain regions closely connected to memory, especially the amygdala and the hippocampus. When strong emotions occur, these systems work together to strengthen the memory. As a result, the emotional tone of the experience becomes easier to retrieve later. While this emotional emphasis can help guide future decisions, it can also distort the accuracy of memory. Two people who share the same event may remember it differently because each person experienced different emotions during that moment. In many ways, memory works more like storytelling than recording. Emotion provides the ink that writes the story. Details become the background on which that story unfolds. Without emotion, memories fade quickly. But with strong feeling attached, even vague outlines can remain vivid for many years. Forgetting is often viewed as a weakness of memory, but in reality, forgetting is an essential part of how the brain functions. Every day, the brain receives enormous amounts of information, far more than it could possibly store permanently. To remain efficient, the mind must constantly decide what to keep and what to release. Psychologists believe that forgetting helps us generalize from experience. Instead of remembering every tiny detail, the brain extracts patterns and lessons that are useful for future situations. This selective forgetting also prevents outdated information from interfering with new learning. In a sense, the brain must prune its memories just as a gardener prunes a tree. Old branches are removed so that stronger growth can continue. Far from being a flaw, forgetting allows the mind to stay flexible and adaptive. The memories that remain tend to be those most relevant to our present lives. The brain also has an extraordinary ability to adapt to unusual sensory experiences. In a famous series of experiments, participants wore special glasses that inverted their vision, turning the world upside down. At first, the experience was extremely disorienting. Every object appeared flipped. Movement felt awkward and unfamiliar. But after several days, something remarkable happened. The brain adjusted. Participants began to perceive the world as upright again, even though the images entering their eyes remained inverted. Their brains had reinterpreted the incoming signals. When the glasses were finally removed, the opposite effect occurred. The world briefly appeared upside down again until the brain readjusted to normal vision. This experiment demonstrated the incredible flexibility of perception. What we see is not simply a direct reflection of the external world. Instead, it is a construction created by the brain's interpretation of sensory input. Even something as basic as the concepts of up and down can be reshaped by experience. Groups can sometimes make riskier decisions than individuals. Psychologists call this phenomenon group polarization. When people discuss an issue together, their shared attitudes can become amplified. If the group initially leans toward caution, discussion may reinforce that caution. But if the group begins with a slightly risky preference, conversation may push the decision toward even greater risk. This happens for several reasons. Hearing others express similar opinions can strengthen our own confidence. People may also feel pressure to support the group's momentum. In these situations, enthusiasm can overshadow careful evaluation of potential dangers. Group polarization has been observed in many settings, from business meetings to political debates. While collective discussion can generate valuable ideas, it can also encourage bold decisions that individuals might hesitate to make alone. Understanding this tendency allows groups to counterbalance it by encouraging diverse viewpoints and thoughtful pauses before final decisions. Optical illusions reveal how the brain actively constructs our perception of reality. When we look at an illusion, our eyes receive visual information just as they would with any other image. But the brain does more than simply process raw data. It constantly interprets what it sees, filling in gaps and making predictions about what should be present. These predictions are usually helpful. They allow the brain to understand complex scenes quickly. However, when the predictions conflict with the actual visual input, an illusion can appear. Lines may seem longer than they are. Objects may appear to move when they are perfectly still. Hidden shapes may suddenly emerge from patterns. Optical illusions remind us that perception is not a perfect mirror of the external world. Instead, it is a carefully assembled interpretation. What we see is a version of reality shaped by past experience, expectations, and context. In this sense, every person experiences the world through a slightly different lens. Laughter can quietly strengthen the mind's resilience. When we laugh, the experience feels simple and spontaneous. Yet beneath that moment of joy, powerful biological processes are unfolding. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins, natural chemicals that reduce pain and create feelings of well-being. At the same time, levels of stress hormones such as cortisol begin to decrease. This combination produces a physiological state that helps the body recover from tension. Shared laughter carries another benefit as well. When people laugh together, social bonds grow stronger. These connections create networks of support that become especially valuable during difficult times. Over time, repeated experiences of joy and humor can act like gentle training for the nervous system. They help the brain learn how to return more quickly to balance after periods of stress. In this sense, laughter becomes more than a brief emotional reaction. It becomes a resource stored quietly within the body and mind, something that can be drawn upon when life asks for resilience. A strong sense of purpose may even influence how long people live. Research has shown that individuals who feel they have a meaningful reason to wake up each day often enjoy longer and healthier lives. Purpose provides direction. It encourages healthier habits, strengthens motivation, and often deepens social connections. Studies have also linked a strong sense of purpose with lower levels of inflammation and improved cardiovascular health. Purpose does not need to be grand or world-changing. For some people, it may be caring for family members. For others, it might be creating art, helping a community, or pursuing a personal passion. What matters most is the feeling that one's actions contribute to something meaningful. When life presents challenges, purpose can serve as a steady guiding light. It gives the mind a reason to continue moving forward, one day at a time. Deep within the brain lies a specialized system dedicated to recognizing faces. One important region involved in this process is known as the fusiform face area, located in the temporal lobe. This area is remarkably efficient. It allows us to recognize familiar faces within fractions of a second, even in crowded environments. If this region becomes damaged, a condition called prosopagnosia, or face blindness, may occur. People with this condition can see facial features clearly, but they struggle to identify even close friends or family members. The existence of such a specialized system highlights how important faces have been throughout human evolution. Recognizing expressions, detecting emotional signals, and identifying allies were all essential for survival. Interestingly, the brain can adapt this system to recognize other familiar patterns as well. Some people become extremely skilled at recognizing specific objects, such as bird species, car models, or even individual animals, using similar neural pathways. This flexibility reflects the brain's deep investment in recognizing meaningful patterns in the world around us. Meditation can gradually reshape the structure of the brain. While meditation is often thought of as a purely mental practice, long-term research shows that it can lead to measurable physical changes in brain anatomy. MRI studies have revealed that regular meditation practice may increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, a region associated with decision-making, attention, and self-control. Other studies have found changes in the hippocampus, an area involved in memory and emotional regulation. At the same time, meditation may reduce the size or reactivity of the amygdala, the brain's center for fear and stress responses. These structural shifts reflect the brain's ongoing ability to adapt, a process known as neuroplasticity. Even short daily meditation sessions can gradually influence neural pathways. Over time, these changes may improve focus, emotional stability, and overall well-being. In a world that often feels fast and noisy, meditation offers a way to cultivate inner stillness. And with consistent practice, that stillness can become woven into the very structure of the brain. Some people have experienced moments when they felt as if they had stepped outside their own bodies. These experiences are sometimes reported during extreme situations such as near-death events, deep meditation, or certain neurological disturbances. Individuals describe the sensation of observing themselves from above, as if their awareness has separated from the physical body. Neuroscientists believe such experiences may involve disruptions in how the brain integrates sensory information about the body's position in space. One brain region often associated with these sensations is the temporoparietal junction, which helps combine signals from vision, balance, and touch. When this system becomes temporarily confused, the brain may construct the illusion of viewing oneself from an external perspective. Although these experiences are usually brief, they can feel vivid and deeply meaningful. Some people report that they leave lasting impressions on their understanding of identity and consciousness. Whether interpreted as neurological phenomena or spiritual experiences, they highlight how the brain constructs the sense of self, a sense that can occasionally drift beyond the boundaries we normally perceive. Priming can quietly influence behavior without our awareness. Priming occurs when exposure to certain words, images, or ideas subtly shapes how we think or act afterward. For instance, in some psychological studies, participants who read words associated with politeness tended to interrupt others less frequently during conversations. In other experiments, people exposed to words connected with aging later walked more slowly down a hallway. Most participants had no idea that these earlier cues had influenced their behavior. The brain often uses recently activated ideas as shortcuts. When a concept has been brought to the surface of awareness, even briefly, it can shape how we interpret the world and respond to situations. These effects are usually small and temporary, but they reveal something important about human perception. Our thoughts and actions are influenced not only by conscious choices, but also by subtle signals from our surroundings. In everyday life, priming can sometimes have positive effects. A workspace filled with inspiring images might encourage creativity. A calm environment may promote patience and kindness. Every place we enter quietly sets the stage for how our minds begin to operate. Acts of kindness can also influence physical health. Helping others does not only improve someone else's day, it can also benefit the person offering the help. Research suggests that acts of generosity are linked to lower blood pressure, reduced stress hormones, and improved immune function. One reason may be the release of oxytocin. This hormone promotes feelings of warmth, trust, and connection. It also supports cardiovascular health by helping blood vessels relax. Even small gestures, holding a door, offering encouragement, or sharing a smile, can trigger these effects. Over time, kindness may become part of a positive cycle. Helping others increases well-being, and feeling better often makes people more likely to continue helping. In this way, kindness acts not only as social glue, but also as a quiet form of self-care woven into everyday life. The way you hold your body can influence how you feel emotionally. Posture and mood are connected through feedback loops between the body and the brain. Standing or sitting upright can increase feelings of alertness and confidence. In contrast, slouching may reinforce fatigue or low mood. This relationship works through several mechanisms. Posture affects breathing patterns, hormone levels, and neural activity. For example, sitting upright opens the chest and allows the lungs to expand more fully. This can improve oxygen flow and subtly increase energy levels. Some studies have suggested that adopting expansive postures, sometimes called power poses, may temporarily increase feelings of control or confidence. Although researchers continue to debate the strength of this effect, posture clearly plays a role in emotional experience. Small adjustments such as relaxing the shoulders or lifting the head can gently shift the body toward greater balance. In many ways, the body helps set the stage for the story the mind tells itself. While trauma can bring profound pain, some individuals later report experiencing a form of personal growth after difficult events. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. This concept does not suggest that trauma itself is beneficial. Rather, it recognizes that the process of recovering from hardship can sometimes lead to meaningful changes in perspective. Some people describe developing deeper empathy for others. Others report stronger relationships, a greater appreciation for life, or a renewed sense of purpose. These changes often emerge gradually as individuals integrate the experience into their broader life story. Meaning-making plays an important role in this process. When people are able to place difficult events within a larger narrative, they may discover new strengths within themselves. Post-traumatic growth does not occur for everyone, and it does not erase the pain of the original experience. But for some, adversity becomes a turning point, like a tree that grows stronger after surviving a storm. Stress, much like laughter or calmness, can spread between people even when no words are spoken. Humans are highly sensitive to the emotional signals of those around them. Changes in facial expression, body language, and tone of voice can all trigger responses in the observer's nervous system. When someone nearby appears tense or anxious, our brains may unconsciously mirror that state. Heart rate can increase slightly. Muscles may tighten. Attention may sharpen. This process likely evolved as a survival advantage. If one person in a group sensed danger, quickly sharing that alertness could help others respond more effectively. However, in modern environments, it means that stress can ripple through a room without anyone realizing it. The encouraging side of this phenomenon is that calmness can spread in exactly the same way. A steady presence can gently influence the emotional atmosphere around it. In this sense, managing our own stress is not only beneficial for ourselves, it also becomes a quiet gift to those around us. Sometimes people are more likely to help when they are the only witness to a situation. When someone is alone and sees a person in need, the decision to act often feels immediate and personal. There is no uncertainty about who should step forward. But when many people are present, something curious can occur. Responsibility becomes divided among the group. Each person may assume that someone else will take action. This phenomenon, known as the bystander effect, has been observed in many psychological experiments. Yet when a person realizes they are the only one who can respond, hesitation often disappears. In these moments, the impulse to help can feel simple and direct. Psychologists suggest that this behavior reflects ancient survival patterns. In small communities throughout human history, every individual's contribution mattered. Helping others was not optional. It was necessary for the group's survival. Even today, that instinct remains within us. And sometimes the smallest decision to act can make the greatest difference. Another subtle social behavior is known as mirroring. When people feel comfortable with one another, they often begin to imitate small aspects of each other's behavior without realizing it. A person may unconsciously match another's posture. Their gestures may begin to resemble one another. Speech rhythms may gradually align. Psychologists call this the chameleon effect. Mirroring signals empathy and attentiveness. It communicates without words that two people are in harmony. Friends often find themselves laughing at the same moment. Conversations develop a shared rhythm. Even leaning forward at the same time can strengthen a sense of connection. In professional settings, negotiators sometimes use subtle mirroring to build trust. Therapists may also mirror posture or tone to create rapport. However, the effect works best when it happens naturally. When imitation feels forced or exaggerated, it can seem artificial. In its most authentic form, mirroring is simply the body's quiet way of saying, "I understand you." Changing your environment can sometimes improve learning. Studying the same material in different locations can strengthen memory. Each environment provides slightly different sensory cues. Changes in lighting, sounds, or even subtle sense. When information is recalled later, the brain has multiple contextual pathways that can help retrieve the memory. For example, studying one day at a desk, another day in a library, and another in a quiet park may create a richer network of associations. Psychologists refer to this as contextual variation. By linking knowledge to several environments rather than one, the mind creates a more flexible memory. The same principle applies to practicing skills. When we practice abilities in varied settings, the brain becomes better at adapting those skills to new situations. Sometimes, gently changing routine can strengthen learning more than repeating the same conditions again and again. Teaching someone else is one of the most powerful ways to deepen understanding. When you explain an idea to another person, your brain must organize the information clearly. You must search for the right words. You must anticipate questions. And in doing so, you actively reconstruct the knowledge in your mind. Psychologists call this the protégé effect. The act of teaching strengthens memory pathways and reveals gaps in understanding. Even preparing to teach something can improve retention. Because the brain approaches the material with greater attention and purpose. This effect works for many types of knowledge. Explaining a scientific idea, showing a friend how to cook a new dish, demonstrating a skill you have practiced. In each case, knowledge shifts from something stored quietly in memory to something actively expressed. And in doing so, it becomes more firmly rooted in the mind. Sleep itself can sometimes reveal answers that seemed impossible the night before. While the body rests, the brain continues working. During sleep, memories are reorganized, connections between ideas are strengthened, and information gathered during the day is processed. Certain stages of sleep appear to encourage unusual associations between thoughts. Without the strict logic that governs waking consciousness, the brain can explore creative combinations of ideas. This is why solutions sometimes appear suddenly after a good night's rest. Artists, scientists, and inventors throughout history have described moments when insight arrived during sleep or upon waking. These breakthroughs occur because the sleeping brain blends information in new ways. Patterns emerge that waking thought may have overlooked. Sleep, therefore, is not simply inactivity. It is a quiet workshop where the mind continues shaping ideas behind the scenes. And so our gentle journey through the landscape of the mind begins to draw to a close. Tonight we have wandered through memories and dreams. We have explored the hidden rhythms of thought and the quiet forces that shape perception. Each discovery is only a small light within the vast inner universe that exists inside every human mind. Yet even these small lights remind us of something remarkable. Within the silence of our thoughts lives an extraordinary complexity. The mind is not merely a biological machine. It is a living landscape, one filled with questions, imagination, and endless curiosity. Perhaps some of these ideas will stay with you, or perhaps they will fade softly into the background of sleep. Both outcomes are perfectly natural, because the mystery of the mind will still be there tomorrow, waiting patiently for the next moment of curiosity. If you happen to still be awake, you may continue exploring with another video, but if your eyes are growing heavy, you can simply let yourself drift. Allow your thoughts to slow. Let the quiet rhythm of your breathing guide you gently toward rest. Sleep well, and good night.